Welcome to Las Vegas Hospitality Evolution. As you well know, I'm Dr. Lonnie Wright, and I'm an academic doctor, and I teach hospitality management for the last 31 years in the university and college system. I was born and raised here in Las Vegas, so I have hospitality in the blood. So I've worked from front of the house to back of the house, and we welcome you here. I have a more than a treat for you. I have a gentleman that who both of us are alumnus from UNLV. He played football, went on to the next level, played in the pros, and we're going to talk about that with the 49ers. But he is an executive for many years at one of the best corporations in hospitality with their brand all around the world, the MGM Grand Hotel. And we're talking about Mr. Tony Gladney. Welcome.
It is so good to be here with you.
And I just want you to look out the window and see your hotel behind you.
I see it.
Yeah.
See one. That's it. You
Yeah.
know where it started, and now MGM Resorts having all the properties that they have on the Las Vegas Strip.
Yes. Can you name some of the properties for our audience?
Sure.
I know them, but
I make it simple. We go all the way down from a standpoint of the properties that our great company manages from MGM Resorts perspective. When you think of Mandalay Bay, all the way down to Bellagio, all those properties are managed. And then you go across the street to MGM Grand with the Signature. All those properties are managed by MGM Resorts. So from Mandalay Bay to Luxor, Excalibur, New York, the Park MGM that was formerly the Monte Carlo Park MGM, City, Aria,
And that's
Cosmopolitan, yes,
Uh-huh.
Cosmopolitan. Now, and then you go down to the Bellagio, and then within that you have several entertainment venues, arenas from the Michelob Arena to Grand Garden Arena where Bruno Mars and all of them operate out of, and the Park MGM to T-Mobile Arena right now where I think the Golden Knights are playing for the championship.
Yeah, well, I
this
hope they
year.
win.
So, you know, just proud to be a part of it. There's a lot of hardworking people that that you've interacted with over the years, that you've influenced over the years, that are part of our great company.
Well, I tell you what, there's been a lot of name changing going. One part of the Las Vegas Strip should be named the MGM Strip
Yeah.
because you have so much influence. I am so happy that you've taken a bit of time because I know you're busy. You're in and out of Las Vegas. You're corporate, but tell our audience, what do you do and how do you interface with this community and other communities throughout the United States for the MGM?
Sure, and I'm calling him Lonnie because he was always Big Brother Lonnie, but I'm going to adjust that because we're so proud of you and being Dr. Wright um, and having the influence that you've had on me and many others who shaped this industry. So, Dr. Wright, I will answer this question, this great question that you've asked. My position currently is the Vice President of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And what that entails is the internal side of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and the external side of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So, from an internal side, it is the day to day, from a perspective of making sure that we have a strategy within all of our properties throughout this great country to make sure that we deal with working with our human resources department, our talent and acquisition departments, our training and development departments from a perspective of diversity training. We work with specific scenarios such as ENGs, employee network groups, mentoring programs internally that MGM Resorts is committed to make sure that we're helping our employees from an upward mobility perspective. And we want to make sure that that's across the board from a diversity initiative, whether it's women, whether it's people of color, making sure that we're doing what we can to make sure that we're not talking about it, but we're actually showing impact results, right? And so that's a big part of it. Awareness. We just this month we are celebrating Juneteenth. We want to make sure that our environment knows about different diverse months and holidays that um, we believe that a corporation needs to be aware of, because that brings about that sensitivity with an environment to make sure that we're focusing on things like, you know, conscious and unconscious bias, right? So a lot of that takes place. And then from an external perspective, that we are making sure that we are partnering with the right organizations in our community on a local and a national level to make sure that within those strategies that we have, that we're moving the needle forward with the right organizations so it can impact us from a talent and acquisition perspective, from a governmental affairs perspective, from a supplier diversity perspective, from a meetings and sales perspective, as far as those who we're partnering with, making sure that we're bringing diverse organization events to the specific properties where we operate across the country. So that's a portion of it, and it keeps me busy. It keeps our organization busy, and it's great to work with a company that really looks at that as a priority in what they do.
Well, I know that to be a fact because years ago I interfaced with you to do a diversity training,
Yes.
um, which we called race and culturenomics. And in that, you had me to train 500 supervisors and managers to understand and to be not desensitized with other races and cultures.
Yes.
And it worked out so great that when you your organization bought the wind properties, you asked me to come back
Yeah.
again.
Yes.
So I know it to
Yes.
be a
Yes.
real part of the culture of embracing a multicultural workplace and a
Yes.
multicultural marketplace. And
Yes.
I take my hat off to the MGM. I was really honored when you asked me and Mr. Hornbuckle
Yes.
asked me to come
Yes.
and
Yeah.
to present that,
Yeah.
and it worked out really good.
You did a great job with that, Lonnie. And that was one of the usherings, one of a big ushering into the industry from a standpoint of training, and from the the industry, our company really learning, hey, this is a part of impacting your bottom line.
Hmm.
This is a part of inclusion, of being able to present opportunities to individuals that didn't always get the opportunity to be in those roles that you were making sure that you made us conscious and aware of. And I think the biggest part of it all is that it was a commitment that was made that was good, and it was a win-win for everyone that was involved. And that's when you know you have something that really moves the needle. Everybody wins in the end. And I think that was really, really a great environment,
Well,
a great move.
well, having that type of sensitivity, high morale produces high productivity in goods and services. When your property embraces everyone and respects the different cultures and are not desensitized and not alienating cultures, I think that it just builds up your morale, and that morale will produce an employee that loves to come to work, loves to serve a multicultural group of people
Yes.
that you service from all around the world. So I am I am so excited about you
It's
being
great.
here,
It's
and
great.
I want the audience to know your background. How long? When was the first time you came to Las Vegas, and under what circumstances?
So, Dr. Wright, I came to Las Vegas in 1983. I was fortunate enough to come to UNLV on a football scholarship. I played and was a student athlete from 1983 to 1987. And I must say, Dr. Wright, within that time that I just mentioned, you were a big part of my life. You would take time to talk to me. You would take time to talk to other student athletes to really stress the importance of education and to stress the importance of being able to fall back on an education. And I just remember vividly those conversations that you always presented to the football team, basketball team, baseball team, all of the student athletes on campus. So I thank you for that. And so I spent 4 years at UNLV, and you know, uh, really learned a lot through that experience. Learned a lot about Las Vegas. Learned a lot about movers and shakers in Las Vegas. Learned a lot through you and others about the history of Las Vegas, the history of uh, you know blacks in Las Vegas, the history of individuals that moved the needle in Las Vegas to bring about the very industry that you and I have been a part of. And so it was a great experience for me. And then in 1987, I graduated and I got the opportunity to play for the San Francisco 49ers. It was a great experience for me. Um, it lasted a couple of years on and off, but I wouldn't change anything. I learned a lot from that experience. And then I decided, after I felt football was over, for me, I felt that where was I going to plant my feet and plant my family's feet? And I felt that Las Vegas and the interactions that I had with people like yourself and others, I felt like this was the place for me to come to raise my family, that I had connectivity to, and that was really on the move. Um, the exponential growth that we saw at that time, and then to be able to have a support system with people like yourself and others, the Danny Wades of the world, and just others like that. I'm glad I made that move to come back, and so I don't regret a thing. I think the experience has been rich. I think the experience has allowed me and the corporations that I've been blessed enough to work for to make an impact in the community and then make a movement for change that I know that you've spoke about and you and I have spoke about years and years in the making. So.
And in your experience, did you ever think? I know you've seen a lot of evolution. The name of this podcast is Las Vegas Hospitality Evolution. I know you've seen a lot. I know you've been a contributor to that evolution. Did you ever think in your wildest dream we would have this many sports franchises wanting to come to Las Vegas?
Great question, Dr. Wright. I could not see it with the naked eye.
No.
I mean, from all the specific guidelines that were in place to the non-betting on, teams that
Even the
anyone
running
was
rebels.
associated, the running
Right.
rebels. I never thought that we would see the ushering in of what we're looking at as far as a sports revolution, as far as Las Vegas being a sports mecca. I never thought, and really not only the galvanizing of this city being a sports mecca, because we've, in our own right, have been an entertainment capital, and we will give this city and this state credit for that. However, to see it turning into the sports mecca that it turned into, and to see the success of the Aces winning a
soon the Golden Knights.
soon to go to the Golden Knights soon to see that, and we're pulling, like you said, Stanley
Cup in the desert.
Right.
Come on, man.
It's been like 2 years.
Only in Vegas,
Yeah,
man.
2 times in the Stanley Cup within
Right.
the first 4 years.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
So
That's amazing.
you see amazing outcomes with that, and And I think the best is yet to come. I think we look, some years down the line, and we'll see representation from all the sports. I mean, I don't say that because I have that within my crystal ball, but we've seen the reports of how this is going to be inclusive of major sports franchises that really complete the circle as far as reputation within all, including Formula One
Oh, wow.
and soccer and all of that we see coming to this city. It's amazing, and I never would have thought that we would see that evolution.
Talking about going over the middle, I think using that analogy, you know how it is being an athlete going over the middle. You kind of anticipate the hit coming, and you know you got to hold on. There was our industry went over the middle, but we didn't anticipate the hit called coronavirus. You know, this coronavirus, and also using that analogy of going over the middle, we also have to realize that we got to get up.
Yeah.
And I want you to address how we got hit and how we have gotten up in our industry.
Yeah, we got hit really hard, Dr. Wright, to your point. And, there were activities that these companies in our great industry went through, from having to furlough workers to because the doors were shut. It's something that we never saw in our industry before, and it hit a lot of us. And obviously, it hit us all from a business perspective, but it hit you know uh, our companies. It hit us personally. It hit me personally. I caught the virus in February.
Wow.
So a month before things started really hitting, I caught it, and I'm so blessed, Dr. Wright, to work for a company that made sure I was okay. That I talked to my boss, Joe T. Chopra, who's our chief people, inclusion and sustainability officer, daily. As obviously I did, Bill Hornbuckle was calling me, checking on me, making sure I was okay. Um, just really helped me to get over that. From a business standpoint, we had to make some really tough decisions. And so um, we coming, using that analogy and coming across the middle, uh, you try to prepare for those things. You know that the industry is going to get hit and your companies are going to get hit, but you don't know how you're going to get hit and what it's going to take to get back up
Mm-hmm.
and get back in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And so for our company personally, it was because of great leadership from our board of directors, from our leadership, Bill, Joe T, others, Jonathan Hawkard, others in our company that were able to help us to guide us through those times. And then for us individually to be able to go ahead and reach out to our colleagues, we had um, a major fund that was helping our employees that were furloughed, an MGM fund. And so being a part of that process and calling our, colleagues, and expressing, hey, here's the help that, the company can give you, despite, this unexpected reality that we're faced with. And so I think it's from a standpoint of knowing that you make a commitment, knowing that you've made a commitment to the team, that you made a commitment to this community, and that you made a commitment to um, the thousands and thousands of employees to do the best that you can by the cards that you're dealt to get back through it. And so there was some resiliency that went through this, not only from our company, but through the community leaders. And
Being the largest employer in this community, you really lead the way in a positive way. I wanna switch gears to looking at that film. Right, I mean that picture ahead. Uh, it was in the newspaper. Rebels Gladney is making of lost time. What was that picture all about?
so that was a picture, and you can see the gentleman hugging me is a gentleman named Kirk Jones. Kirk Jones was the highest recruited running back in the nation at the time, and he chose UNLV. And then making up for lost time was I actually had to miss my junior season, and so I came back
From an injury?
from yeah, actually from a scenario that I had to sit out, and and making up for lost time meant that I was able to come back and I was able to really pick up where I left off, and to pick up where I left off from a standpoint to where the team did not lose a step, and so that was making up for lost time. We had played Wisconsin, and we upset Wisconsin in the Silver Bowl. For many years, it was the largest attendance that the Silver Bowl ever saw, and I had scored a touchdown against an All-American candidate that was there, drafted very high, and I think I scored a couple times that night from our quarterback Steve Stallworth, and so that was that making up for lost time that I was back.
You know, I wanted to switch gears, but when you said that, it also using that analogy of making up for lost time. That's what our industry did. You know,
Absolutely.
we did that.
Absolutely.
How about this other picture? Who is that?
That's Tony Gladney, yours truly. That was my last game.
For the
It was
Running
actually
Rebs?
for
Oh,
the 49ers.
Did-
It was actually in Atlanta in the prior Fulton County Coliseum, and that was my last catch, and I was excited about it. And so my last game, someone took a picture and said, "Hey, that was your last play with the 49ers." So
How about that picture? Who is
that picture was the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. May our team chaplain, may his soul rest in peace. We called him Bro T. And alongside me are teammates Steve Stallworth, starting quarterback, myself, and Suge Knight on the right.
A lot of people didn't know Suge Knight played ball here
They didn't
at
know
UNLV.
Suge Knight.
Different? Was he a different guy or?
He was a different guy.
Different guy.
He was a different guy. He was very. He was a team captain along with Steve and I. Did a great job at UNLV. And
Suge Knight was a team captain?
Suge Knight was a team captain with us.
Okay.
And so we were lifting up our chaplain to let, this community know that, there was a grounding, and there was a grounding as far as our faith and wanting to do the right things by this community, wanted to make this community proud. And he was our team chaplain that really helped us to make sure that we brought the guys together and know that our teams at UNLV, including obviously the great Running Rebels that you were a part of, our baseball teams, our soccer teams, that we were a part of shaping this community. And so that was a proud moment. That was actually
as you well know, that our conversation here is pretty organic.
Yes.
Now that you show me that picture, I didn't know that was Suge Knight. Well, what is that picture all about?
So that was against the New York Giants, Monday Night Football. I had gotten cut in the final cuts of my rookie season for the 49ers, and I played in the replacement season when the NFL went on strike in 1987. And so Coach Walsh, with another gentleman from our team, Clyde Glover, were there without our helmets. We actually were the team captains. And so that's how I actually got back and got some more longevity in the NFL. But we were team captains, and that was our first replacement game against the New York Giants in the Meadowlands. And so that brings about a great pride, because once again, we talk about the pride of that. For me, it was about the entity, the company that I was working for. And so the company that I was working for, it didn't give me an opportunity personally. I understood the ramifications of the players that needed to go on strike, but I also understood the ramifications of me wanting to pursue my dream. And so when Eddie DeBartola and Bill Walsh said, "Hey, Tony, you're not, on the squad through the final cuts. Would you be interested in playing in a replacement season? We're going to have one." I said, by all means. And the players gave me reassurance. The veterans that didn't cross the line gave me reassurance. We understand your situation. And then we had guys like Joe Montana, Roger Craig, Dwight Clark. We had guys that actually crossed the line. And so, um, everyone had to respect each other for where they were at. But that was a point in my life that Coach Walsh said, I believe in your leadership and I believe that you can get us through this. And I believe we're going to have a positive outcome with what we're going to do for these players that are striking and what we're going to do for these players from a replacements perspective. And everything's going to turn out the way we need it to. But we have to have the show go on right now.
And that's also in leadership. Leadership transcends that as well. And you've been a great leader. Tell me about your relationship with the Martin Luther King Parade.
Yes, yes. As a part of our diversity, equity, and inclusion initiative, we really partner with the organizations in our community, and a part of that partnering is to make sure that we are really an ambassador with these organizations to move forward the history and to move forward the remembrance of those who've really impacted the scenarios that we have today as far as being able to have access, as far as being able to have equality. And so the Dr. Martin Luther King Committee is really one of our strongest partners as they celebrate the remembrance of Dr. Martin Luther King on a yearly basis. And the great leadership of Wendell P. Williams, who has been a great champion in this community. I love him like a brother.
Yeah.
I know
You and I.
know Wendell well,
Yeah.
and the great job that he's done, I think, is a part of MGM Resorts' commitment to making sure that remembrance moves forward.
But you also embrace events for the Hispanic,
Absolutely.
all the different
Hispanic,
ethnic
Asian,
groups.
Asian Pacific
We
Islander,
celebrate them all.
all of them.
Celebrate them all.
That's a part of it. Martin Luther King, and I think this is a great testament to the Martin Luther King Committee, expressed that an injustice for one is an injustice everywhere
right.
for all, right?
Right.
And so when you think about that, that's how we look at these partnerships with the MLK Committee and all these other organizations that represent different diversity segments in our community and in our nation to make sure that we have a saying at MGM Resorts, and that saying is, you don't have to be one of to stand with. That everyone is a part of someone's history and a part of being able to champion and being able to support and making sure that we move that forward, because that's a part of who we all are collectively.
This, your innovation, and we talk about the evolution. One of the evolutions that we've seen here in Las Vegas, you developed a city within a city.
The city of entertainment,
right? City of. I know it was branded differently. But now you have a cluster of hotels that reside together as almost like a community. The people can leave and go to right there in a city within a city.
Yes,
and that was a new concept by the MGM.
A lot of hard work from a lot of credit given to a lot of the hardworking employees and the leaders that ushered that in, and to your point, it wasn't an easy road. I mean, I think there were challenges along the way, but through the resiliency and through the commitment and through the community support, because through those challenges you had to have community support as well, that we were able to get through some of those projects, and then we talk about the growth of the community going into new jurisdictions, the Detroits of the world, the National Harbors of the world, the Mississippis of the world, the Clevelands, the that those areas in Ohio, all these areas where you found that MGM was able to put footprints, and even going farther, our company being able to go into Macau, and now the company just made an announcement about being certified to be able to go into Japan,
Wow.
Osaka, Japan. That is just a sign of great leadership. It's a sign of a supportive board, a diverse board. Very proud of how we have, a women on the board. We have African American participation on the board. We have diverse participation at the board level. We have a property that exists in Detroit, Michigan that has diverse ownership, right? Of owners and partners, from that, community there in Detroit. That this is a story that is truly an example of, because of the company's commitment to diversity, and because of the company's commitment to participation, from a lot of different contributions, that we're able to really have that great company. And many individuals that are not with the company, individuals that are with the company, that have really paved this way. And I think about, I heard all our presidents in the past, and I've had the great pleasure of meeting an architect, our major shareholder, Kirk Kerkorian. I mean, what he exemplified.
He was a former athlete, didn't he? Box a little bit?
Yes.
All right.
What he exemplified, and you'll hear every president in our company, including the current president that we have now, our CEO and president, Bill Hornberger, talk about the embodiment of Kirk Kerkorian, and the spirit of him and what he embodied, is really a true example of the company culture that we have. And so I've just been proud to just be a part of it, and to just really talk about the success of all the outcomes that you and I have discussed, and a part of what's helped Tony Gladney to be able to envision the dreams that I had about making an impact and a commitment to the communities.
I'm going to take the time to say, Mr. Gladney, now we're going to get informal, Brother Gladney. I appreciate your time.
Appreciate you, man.
We go way back.
We do.
We go
do.
way back.
We do.
And I want to say that I have to have you back, because we just scratching the surface of what the MGM has meant worldwide. I want to get into that and more issues. If I can catch you again, I know you're very busy, but if you have liked what you have heard from this great gentleman, please subscribe and hit like on that, and be a part of Let Las Vegas continue to evolve. Be a part of Las Vegas hospitality evolution. Thank you.